You don't always notice the moment your hand reaches for your phone, but your mind does. It's the one place meant for silence, yet it's the hardest place to be alone. You sit down just for a second and instinctively unlock your screen, scrolling without thinking, telling yourself it's just to pass time, just to avoid boredom, just to fill the gap between moments. Or maybe it's when the house is loud and chaotic, and the bathroom becomes your only private space, your phone turning into a small glowing shield between you and everything else. Or those times when you don't even need the toilet, but you go anyway, just to sit, scroll, and disappear for a while. It feels harmless, normal, almost automatic. But beneath that habit is something quieter, something more human. Because in that small, closed space, stripped of distractions, your thoughts begin to surface, and your phone becomes a way to keep them at a distance. You're not just avoiding boredom, you're avoiding stillness. And stillness, for many people, feels unfamiliar, even uncomfortable. There's a subtle emotional tension in being alone, with nothing to do, no role to play, no noise to hide behind. So the phone becomes a companion, a distraction, a buffer. Psychologically, this connects to what experts call avoidance coping, a pattern where we unconsciously escape internal discomfort by focusing on external stimulation. It doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It means your mind is trying to regulate itself in the easiest way it knows how. Researchers like Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi have found that the human mind resists empty moments, often seeking stimulation to maintain a sense of control and engagement. And studies on smartphone behavior suggest that people check their devices not only for information, but to manage emotional states like anxiety, loneliness, or restlessness. So when you take your phone to the toilet, it's rarely about the phone itself. It's about what the phone protects you from. You might notice patterns if you look closely. The way you scroll longer than you intended, losing track of time. The way silence feels heavier without your screen lighting up. The way leaving your phone outside makes the experience feel oddly incomplete, even uncomfortable. The way your mind races more when there's nothing to focus on. It's not random. It's a rhythm your brain has learned. Like a reflex, like reaching for a light switch in a dark room. And maybe, deep down, you know it's not just about habit. It's about needing something to hold on to, even in the smallest, most private moments. It's strange how a place designed for physical release has become a space for mental escape. The door closes, and for a moment, the world pauses. But instead of resting in that pause, the mind reaches outward, searching for noise, for movement, for something to fill the quiet. There's an emotional layer to this that often goes unnoticed. Because being alone with your thoughts can feel like standing in a room where everything echoes. Every worry sounds louder. Every unresolved feeling feels closer. So the phone becomes more than a device. It becomes distance. It becomes control. A way to choose what you feel instead of facing what's already there. This is closely tied to the concept of stimulus dependency, where the brain becomes accustomed to constant input, making stillness feel like something is missing rather than something is present. Over time, the absence of stimulation doesn't feel neutral. It feels uncomfortable, even empty, and so the habit deepens, not dramatically, but quietly. You start to rely on your phone not just in public, but in private. Not just when you're bored, but when you're still. And that's where the pattern grows roots. It's not about weakness. It's about adaptation. Your brain has learned that distraction is easier than reflection, that scrolling is softer than silence. There's a metaphor hidden in this behavior. It's like carrying a small flashlight into a room filled with mirrors. The light keeps you focused outward, preventing you from seeing your own reflection clearly. But the mirrors are still there, waiting, patient. Over time, the habit can stretch. Minutes turn into longer stays. A quick check becomes a scroll session. The boundary between necessity and escape blurs. And without realizing it, the mind starts to expect that escape, even crave it. You might feel restless without it, slightly uneasy, like something is off. That's not failure. That's conditioning. And it's happening quietly, in the background of everyday life. It's reinforced by the world around you, where constant connection is normal, even expected. Where being offline, even briefly, can feel like stepping out of reality. But the truth is, those small moments of disconnection are where something deeper lives. Something that doesn't shout, doesn't demand attention, but waits. And the more it's avoided, the more unfamiliar it becomes. The more unfamiliar it becomes, the harder it feels to face. Until eventually, even a few seconds without a screen feels like too much. But there's a quiet shift that can happen. Not all at once, not dramatically, just a small moment where you notice the impulse instead of following it. The hand reaching for the phone. The urge to fill the silence. And for a second, you pause. That pause is powerful because it reveals something important. This isn't about dependency. It's about sensitivity. Your mind is responding to something real, something internal, something that deserves attention, not avoidance. The habit isn't the problem, it's the signal. A signal that you've become disconnected from stillness, from your own internal space. And that disconnection didn't happen overnight. It built slowly, shaped by a world that rarely allows silence to exist without interruption. So instead of judging the habit, you can begin to understand it. To sit, just for a moment, without reaching for the screen. To notice what comes up, not to fix it, not to analyze it, just to let it be there. That's where something changes. Not instantly, but gradually. The silence starts to feel less threatening. The mind softens. The need to escape becomes less urgent. You begin to realize that those small, quiet moments aren't empty. They're full of thoughts, yes, but also awareness, presence, even a kind of calm that only exists when nothing is distracting you from yourself. It's not about never taking your phone with you again. It's about understanding why you do. It's about giving yourself the choice, instead of following the pattern automatically. Because the goal isn't perfection, it's awareness, and awareness changes everything. Over time, the space you once filled with scrolling becomes something else. A pause, a breath, a moment where you're not performing, not consuming, not escaping, just existing. And that's rare, more rare than we realize. So the next time you reach for your phone in that quiet, closed space, ask yourself gently, what am I avoiding, and what might happen if I didn't? Because sometimes, the smallest habits reveal the deepest truths. And sometimes, the place you go to escape the world is the same place you begin to understand it. If this made you think differently about your own habits, take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to keep exploring the hidden patterns of the mind. And tell me, do you reach for your phone out of habit, or is there something deeper waiting in the silence?